Okay, so perhaps unsurprisingly then, NMDA receptors are involved in learning and memory. So it turns out that, if something is happening at a pretty low level, there's no NMDA stimulation. There's no entry of calcium. There's no change in the strength of that particular connection. But if something significant happens, there's a lot of activity, or if there is something, happening, two inputs are coming in, and they're both simultaneously active, that coincidence is detected, via this receptor, and there's a strengthening of that whole synapse. There's a change in the, strength of that connection. So NMDA, it turns out, is involved in learning and memory. If you're listening to this, lecture and you're, going over it again and again, and you're reading your textbook, you're actually physically changing the network structure of your brain, and that change in the network actually underlies, the memory that you'll have for this information, that you'll be assessed on at some stage. So NMDA receptors detect high levels of neuronal activity, okay, at glutamate synapses, and they respond by changing brain networks. So again, at low levels of activity, these channels are closed, right, because they're blocked by that magnesium ion. At high levels of activity, the channel is open, and you're going to get changes in gene expression and protein synthesis. Now, this actually intrigued, a series of researchers, because it turns out that humans and all mammals, including mice, actually express two forms of this NMDA receptor. When humans are, 0 to 3, there's a particular youthful form of this receptor that is expressed that actually responds by opening at lower levels of stimulation. So it's more sensitive to stimulation by glutamate. A little bit of activity of glutamate will open the channel, provoke calcium entry, and provoke all these changes in growth of synaptic connections, right? In adults, we've shifted over to the adult form where it's literally different genes are expressed that change the structure so that it takes more stimulation, more activity to actually open this channel and generate these changes in the neural network. So this group of researchers actually engineered mice, right, to overexpress or to express only the youthful form, of the NMDA receptor. And they found that they called this the Doogie mouse. Turns out that it could run a maze and it could learn a very complex maze on a single trial. So it was very sensitive. Its brain was very sensitive to even low levels of stimulation. It would respond by changing the strength of connections and allowing the mouse in this case presumably to recall the details of the maze.